All right, guys. Friday Night Live. It's March 8th already. Good God. 8 days into March. February lasted 4 years, or I should say January. January lasted 4 years. February went by in about 2 weeks, and March is on target to continue that trend. Let's see. It's been one of those weeks where I feel like I've done a million things, but I've also not done enough. But we're going to go over it anyhow, and hopefully I'll come out the other side feeling a little bit less frazzled. It actually has been pretty useful for me to do these weekly kind of week wrap ups and also looking ahead. It's kept me well, I'm relatively organized as it is because I don't function well if I'm disorganized, but it has been nice to just kind of encompass what's been checked off the list, what's moved things forward, and what's maybe got me a little hung up. So we'll go over a little bit of all of that today. First, big announcement. My next foraging class, I got it on the calendar today. I was trying to get it into March, and I squeaked it in onto March 30th. So that is a Saturday, March 30th, noon until about 3 o'clock Eastern time here in the Knox County area. If you would like to come hang out and walk around the fields and the wood lines with me, and let's see what we can find for the foraging. It's that time where the things like the henbit and the dead nettle, chickweed, and all kinds of young greens are coming up. The red buds are going to be coming out about that time. So this is actually going to be one of those where we might be able to find enough stuff that we can go ahead and sample it and try it. Especially, I'm really hoping, especially the red buds. I think we're still going to be within the window for that, hopefully. So holler at me, strongrootsresources@gmail.com, if you would like to slide on over and join us for that. Say howdy to a couple of people here or Wilder Life. Thank you for stopping in, and Cormac, glad that you're stopping in there on the other side of the pond. So as I was saying, busy week. Quite a bit of it has actually just had me at my desk doing the thing that's hardest for me to do, which is to sit still and type stuff out. It's been a little bit aggravated by the fact that the carpal tunnel syndrome has been back with a vengeance this week. So anything that has me in anything that involves static positions or trying to hang on to stuff, that it's been an aggravation. So Rewilder Life, that's right, you are Arlen from Telegram, because I know there's like two, kind of probably more than two Rachels, but definitely two that kind of keep me on my toes with who's who. So thank you as always for spending a little bit of time with us, and you guys, pipe up in this conversation. So if you've got questions or if you just want to talk about what you've been up to this week, let me know. That's what we're for. So it is that time of year. It's nearly officially spring. So I just like to let everybody know we made it. At least those of us down here in the Southeast. Some of y'all are still dealing with some BS north of here, and I'm sorry about that. But down here in the South, we're emerging out of our cocoons. We are, I don't have a hoodie on tonight, as you may notice, because I'm warm. I had one on and it came off about 5 minutes ago. So it is wonderfully warming up. I know we're going to have a couple more cold snaps, and that's not a big deal. I'm glad it's here. The grass is greening up. We're seeing what's coming back into the pastures. The birds are back. It's my favorite time of year, and I'm just happy because I can say this past winter was better than some. I have had harder times. This one was better in terms of whether it's a seasonal depression or who the heck knows what it is. Probably just lack of vitamin D. I'm still glad that I'm out here working on the seeds and working in the soil. Oh man. So yeah. So for Wilder Life, trying to prune the trees, foot issues, where I have the hand issues. Um, it's I've pretty much we've almost missed our window for pruning here. And I did get most of it done, at least here on the farm. Um, the peach has it's flowering as we speak, and I did get it pruned back relatively well. Um, I don't know in terms of the foot issues. Of course, I don't want to, I don't want to be one of those people who's always giving, well, what I did was, but I will say that several years ago, I started having really terrible tendonitis in my heels, both of them awful. Where if you just like barely tapped on that tendon, it was absolutely searing pain. I was limping all the time. It was really rough, and I realized that I cannot wear any shoes that have any kind of heel whatsoever. It's not that I was wearing high heels. That wasn't the case. I don't I this guys, this is where I am Friday night, not at the bars. I was any like I think it was from being in boots, being in basically like my EMS boots. Uh I had to switch to things that were completely no drop, like no just flat shoes. And I discovered it like by more or less by accident. I realized that the only time my feet didn't hurt was when I was wearing my Converse back when I was riding bikes, and Converse were the preferred shoe for my bike. And then I was like, well, maybe it's because we're not designed to walk around on the balls of our feet, and so as long as I don't wear heels, boots, that kind of thing, I have almost no pain now. So, but everybody's different, and we probably at this point we have just messed up our feet, um, and it's just one of those things. It was so weird. I spent more money than I would like to think about on insoles and inserts and arch support and all this stuff. And finally, one day, I was like, were my feet not designed to just do the job the way they are? So why am I throwing all this stuff in here? So the more I minimize, the better it got. Yeah, that'll mess you up. Wearing a backpack. Um, yeah, and ladders still wear me out. I will actually fatigue really fast on a ladder. I have to be careful. Um, yeah, we're hard on ourselves, aren't we? Yeah, this body takes a beating. In some ways, not as much as it used to, but in other kinds of it takes a different kind of beating these days, I guess you'd say. So let's look at one more thing I've got on the agenda coming up. I did do a separate video all about everything, all the events I'm going to be at this spring and summer. So that is up on the channel if you want to look into that. I'm not going to dig into it here, but I just confirmed with Nicole Sauce from the Living Free in Tennessee podcast and network that I'm going to do a foraging webinar for her membership portal. And we're going to do it. It'll be live. We're going to do it on March 29th. So Friday, March 29th. I think we're going to do it around 1 o'clock Central Time. And I don't have it put together yet, but I've got a few days to do it. I'm going to put together about an hour set of slides and what am I trying to say here? Like a PowerPoint style. So I'm going to go around probably mostly my general area, my farm and my community, and find the things that I feel are easiest to identify, generally like safe and not likely to be mixed up with something unsafe or something that'll make you sick. Get good photos, and then just kind of give a bit of a play-by-play. It'll be about an hour long. That's usually how long the webinars are. And I'm going to try to get it where it's stuff that most of us in the United States are going to be able to find this stuff. So it's going to be kind of common, and I'll hit up a couple of books that I really like too. So yeah, I'm going to be working on putting that together. And I have pretty much, as far as my schedule for March is concerned, I'm calling it full. I'm not adding a single thing at this point. I have, between kind of a couple of ongoing maintenance jobs that I'm signed on for, 2 new consults that I have recently added, people who are already clients and who I owe my attention to. And then things here on the farm, March is already full. So, I'm going to be away for Kentucky Sustainable Living on the third weekend of March. So, yeah, squeaked it in there. So, let's talk about the week. All right. Last weekend, I should say, not we, me, I had a volunteer day at a place called Vuck Farm. And don't censor me, YouTube. That is Vuck with a V as in Victor, VUCK. This is a biodynamic farm down in Riceville, Tennessee. And if you're in that area, you should buy their salad mixes and their greens. They are a really cool spot. And my buddy out there, TJ, needed help pulling down an old high tunnel and laying out a new one that is partially assembled from the high tunnel that got pushed over in the wind. This is kind of a constant battle in our region, and I'm sure in many places, where trying to get high tunnels to not get torn down by storms. It seems like I've seen so many at this point that have been reinforced in so many different ways, and it's just like the weather just finds one more way to rip them up. So this one would have been pushed on by the wind to the point where everything was kind of at a 45-degree angle. So there were a few other people there. We kind of worked on taking stuff down. TJ and I spent a good bit of time basically squaring off the site for the new one, which is fun when you have a lot of slope, which was the case. And that is not something, squaring off is not something that comes naturally to me. And every time I do it with somebody, they do it differently than any other way that I've learned. So now I've learned like 4 different ways of doing it. And we did get the post driven for the corners, and just kind of, it's one of those things where it looks like not a lot happens, but a lot happens in our heads in terms of layout and problem solving in that realm. But we kind of had to call the day a little early, because while we were working on it, TJ got his head whacked by a post that popped out, and we couldn't grab it in time. And I had to yank out the medical kit and hold some pressure on his head until we got the bleeding stopped. And he had enough of a laceration that I suggested he probably needed to go down to the clinic and have some staples put in it. So he got 4 staples of hardware put into his head, and he's all right. I'm sure he had quite the headache after that. But, looking back on it, we should have had some hard hats on. That was a fail. So just something to think about when you're working on those high tunnels. And the one I'm talking, like, guys, this thing was big. I mean, the peak was probably, I don't know, 16 feet off the ground. We were up on ladders. It was ridiculous. So just something to think about. Don't be messing around with that stuff without some head protection. And another good tip, if you're ever driving like T-post or driving the post to anchor your high tunnel, wear your hard hat if you're running that driver, because if you get it up too high and then you don't, if you miss on the way back down, you can really wreck yourself. So be careful. And then Sunday, actually Saturday, I ended up adding on kind of a last minute consult. I had some folks who were literally on my way back from Riceville who I'd been in conversation with, and they hadn't, decided if they wanted to pull the ripcord on that or not. But they called me up and they said, yes. And is there any chance that you can stop today? And it just so happened that the answer was yes. So I got their process started, and we are going to the next stage tomorrow. I'll be out there tomorrow, and we'll start kind of the more precise design elements and everything. I always like to meet with people first and talk to them for a while and make sure we're all on the same page before I commit a significant amount of time or they commit a significant amount of money. So I'm glad that they're comfortable with moving forward. They're in a suburban lot and there's going to be some restrictions in place, but I think we'll have some creative solutions that will help them achieve their goals while not bringing down the wrath of an HOA upon their head either. Sunday, pardon me for a water break here. Sunday we had our one of our quarterly gatherings up here at the farm, and it was really nice. It was a little bit smaller than some of them, but it was really high quality in terms of the interaction that I got to engage in. So we do quarterly gatherings for preppers, homesteaders, folks who are into the permaculture community, all these things, any, animal husbandry, foraging, livestock, all that good stuff. Folks like to I like to give people an opportunity to come hang out in a casual setting. We always do a tour. We always have snacks and refreshments, and we always gather for, some swapping and conversation and bartering and that sort of thing. And, we usually have one or two new people every time. And one lady who came and her son, I could tell really enjoyed themselves and felt very comfortable. They were able to talk about things that had been on their mind, things that had brought them to this region. And I thought that was important. I want to make sure that when people come up here, that they feel like they can talk about whatever is on their mind. I am not going to be the free speech police. It doesn't matter if I necessarily agree or share the viewpoint, although in most cases I share it to some extent. But I just want people to feel like they can engage. And so that was nice. A couple of other folks who came, this is kind of neat, right? So roll back to an event. I went to a little holiday market and vendor event in December. And this event is always, you offer up a little door prize. And I won a door prize for a free massage. The people who won my door prize for one of my smaller consulting packages were the people who own the massage business. So that was pretty cool. So I promptly went and scheduled my massage, which was awesome, and had it on my radar to, schedule another one as soon as the budget allowed, coming out of the kind of wintertime slowdown. And then they were preparing to close on a house. And so they have my contact information. And I said, reach out to me when when everything gets wrapped up, and we'll get the process started. And I actually had it, I hadn't heard from them. And I had it on my to-do list for this coming week to check in with them. And then they made it out to the event. So the four of us, and, Angel and I, and these folks got to talking quite a bit, and, discovered how we shared a lot of similar viewpoints. And we got into a really interesting conversation about the nuance of how things have changed in the last 4 years within American society. And coming from people who, had remained in a wellness-based industry and all this kind of stuff. And it was just one of those, like, when you really felt like you connected with people. And as I spoke with them further, I said, I am happy. I said, let me tell you what all this, the door prize you won, what you guys can expect for that. Because we went ahead and got it scheduled. And the lady, she said, do you like to, barter for stuff? And I was like, I love to do that. And they said, can we hire you, like, your full design package? And we will exchange, because frankly, our hourly rate is about the same between the two of us. And we will exchange, a corresponding number of massage sessions in exchange for your design and consulting services. And I was like, holy cow, you've got a deal. I can't tell you how excited I am. I've been bartering my design and consulting services with my chiropractor for almost a year, and that's been awesome too. But this was just like, and she was like, and I'm not talking about 60 minutes, I'm talking about 90 minute massage sessions. So I'm stoked about that. And I think my first massage is on Monday. I'm really looking forward to it. I've never had a 90-minute massage. I normally don't even, I don't know what it is about me. I hate to be a cheapskate about stuff, but it's just like, I'll pay for a 60-minute from time to time, every other month or so. And it's not like, a 90-minute isn't 50% more. It's like 15% more. But for some reason, I never want to pay for it. But anyway, because these folks were great. And they're, like I said, they're just their outlook, their attitude, their approach about things. It was just so, it just felt so aligned and so right. So that was just super nice to get that worked out. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to helping them because it's always the thing about I've learned about consulting work and working directly with individuals is I can work with people who obviously don't necessarily share some of my viewpoints or some of my interests, but you do have to get on the same page about a lot of stuff or it's just constant conflict. So it's extra nice to be able to work with people who you feel aligned with. Take a break to say howdy to some folks. Margot, thank you for dropping in. How's your end of the country? And let's see. Yeah, bartering. You just red light therapy. Cool. Yeah. So I've never actually done red light therapy, although my chiropractor I think offers it, but he also uses something called a Beamer. It's BEAMER. I think it works I think it increases blood circulation. So I respond really, really well to massage. Angel, like I'm one of these, like I'll go out there and I'll, evangelize about it. And Angel just has a really hard time. She can't really get relaxed for it. She did find somebody a few months back who stays booked out way in advance. So she went ahead and booked another session, but she found somebody she said she was comfortable with. So I was like, I don't really care what it costs. If you find somebody, you keep going. I am not as picky, but this was kind of an extra nice situation. Sunny in the 80s. All right. We're getting there. We're going to have another cold snap, but today was, it was overcast today, but it's been super mild. It was one of those things where as soon as I was walking around, the hoodie had to come off. So it was really, really, really excellent. Yeah, not all massage therapists are good. Yeah, if you can keep a good one for a while, that's nice. I've been seeing a guy so I found out when I was still working on the ambulance that there's a massage school not far from me. And, of course, the students have to have their clinical hours. And so you can schedule a massage, and it was like $35. And you're also not supposed to tip a student, which I thought was kind of messed up. But anyhow, so when I was working on the truck, my partner and I were practically going weekly at that price. And, it's better than nothing, but it's, they're perfecting their technique. So it's kind of like a generic thing. Then, I found a guy here locally who it was interesting because he also trains jujitsu. So like he gets it. He gets what's up. And so he was helping me address stuff that, gets all cranked and messed up from training. And he's good. And that's who I've kind of been seeing is just, coming out of the wintertime slowdown. And then, of course, Jenny Hill, who's in the LFTN community, I saw her a few times and then, she moved. So if she ever comes back, I will be sure to schedule with her as well. So, yeah, massage is really, it truly is therapeutic. I have all kinds of stuff that just kind of hurts all the time, especially like in my thoracic region. And the two things that really help that is regular massage and actually weightlifting, especially if I get, a couple of squat sessions in a week. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it helps. I just know that if I fall off the weightlifting train, it hurts more, and when I resume it, it hardly hurts at all. But otherwise, the Sunday gathering was very nice. And my friend Chris Spees, who lives in South Carolina, he and his lady came over. They came in kind of late, but they came in and hung out for a little while, and I caught Chris up. He hadn't been out here in a couple of years, so he kind of got to see what we've been up to this last little bit. And his lady was like super sweet, super cool lady, and she likes to she runs a kind of like an entrepreneurs Facebook group and features various people. And she wrote me an email a couple of days after being out here and wanted to feature Angel and I in the business. So we've kind of corresponded about that. So, I mean, I feel like at this point, probably all promo is good promo. This is not necessarily a group I would have sought out. It looks like I don't know if it's focused. I think it's just kind of not focused within the homesteading world, which is kind of where I keep a lot of my interest. But I accepted her invitation and I said, why not? So I'll certainly share that around when it gets posted up. And they Chris and Hobby, they were just super cool and super chill and really stoked to see everything that we've been doing up here. It's kind of nice when somebody who hasn't been up in a while comes by and I am able to realize, oh, look at all the stuff we have done. Because it feels like it hasn't been that much, but actually quite a bit has happened going on. It'll be 4 years in October that we'll have been back here on the family land. So I feel like we've made reasonable progress considering. And then tomorrow I am doing a presentation for a local Daughters of the American Revolution group, DAR. I was invited by a couple of my customers who are members, and they wanted to hear about pollinator gardens. So I put together a little, it's just going to be a kind of a quick, like 20-minute thing, but I put together a little slideshow and kind of added some extras about the, pollinators need more than just pollen and nectar. They need water and shelter and things. So I kind of get into a little bit of like how you can create a all-encompassing habitat and not just throw some, by all means, throw some butterfly weed out there, but I'm going to give them a little more detail. And I put together some little seed packets with some Strong Roots decals, and it's kind of like a little kit that they can put to work even in a little garden. So I think a lot of these people, a lot of these ladies are going to be on, they're going to be on small properties, so they're going to want to know about little micro meadows and what can be done in flower beds and even pots and things like that. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with them. My grandmother, my Nan, was a member, and I actually still have her citizenship handbook from that, which is kind of neat. So I guess for those who don't know, if I understand this correctly, because I had to go back and kind of double check my facts, but for people who go back and trace their ancestry, their lineage to somebody who fought for the Americans, or at the time the colonists in the American Revolution, you can be a member. And there's a Sons of the American Revolution for the gentleman as well. But it's they focus on community service, and Wilder is, feel free to let me know how that works for Wilder. She says she's a member when I was reading out about it a few months back, it was pretty neat. A lot of these kind of organizations, I'm not sure. I don't want to call them dying organizations. I'm not sure how popular they are now, because you think about things like the Shriners or the Grange, or various American veteran halls and things. Are there people who are my age, who are 40 and younger, joining these? Is this something that's going away with the baby boomer generation? I don't know. I'm just kind of asking it and throwing it out there. Uh, I like the idea of stuff like this. I even looked up, the requirements to join the Suns. So, but frankly, I was just like, I don't have room on the plate right now, but I'm very much, in support of that sort of thing. I'm especially supportive of people who are researching their ancestry and are doing things to keep their lineage and their values alive, wherever they originate from. I think we shouldn't lose sight of that. My own personal ancestry and like my legacy, my family legacy, my family name is really important to me. Really important how I'm perceived and how I may be perceived going forward. So I operate in such a way that I want, I would want my grandparents and great grandparents to be proud of me. So, and bring some honor and goodness to the family name. That's important. All right, cool. Well, I thought that was neat. So I'm looking forward to meeting these ladies. And hey, pretty good chance that's going to lead to a couple of jobs too, which is also okay. I mean, let's be real. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing it. Because I like designing and putting together these little micro guild pollinator gardens. It's a lot of fun. I've got one that I'm going to do. At this point, I'm not sure if it'll get done in March. It'll be I'll certainly start the process, but it might be an early April installation by the time all the plants I need will be available. So so that'll probably work out nicely. In farm news, Wednesday morning, discovered that we had another lamb. And I also believe we've got another female. She is all black with like a little zigzag, almost looks like a lightning bolt on her head. I haven't gotten a real good look at her head yet because this mom is super protective of her. I tried to get close, and the mama, normally they just kind of like stamp their front foot. She put her head down and she started towards me, and I was like, peace out. You got this. I'm not going to mess around. But of course, we now have a black sheep, and I am happy, and I will accept all the black sheep jokes as somebody who at one point might have been considered something of the black sheep of the family. So that's all good. We've got the cutest dang lambs with these, these black and white, now this all black one, and then we've got this one that's got all these kind of like splotchy brown places. I mean, they're just the cutest, and just watching them play. I just sit on the side of that hill for a few minutes from time to time and just watch them do their thing. I got into their paddock today and cut down a whole bunch of multiflora rose that has leafed out, and they absolutely stripped that. I mean, they just wore it out. And I know, like, they're bored with hay right now and they want extra stuff to eat. So I like to get in there and find things for them. But they hit that. They hit the honeysuckle is starting to leaf out, and there's something else in there that maybe it was more ivy, but I got in there and cut a bunch of stuff, clipped a bunch of stuff, and pulled it onto the ground for them. And it's just all stripped. So I'm keeping them in this lot a while longer, where the grass just still is not ready yet. I just don't want to mess up. I don't think I can truly mess up my pastures, except for obviously just leaving them on there too long. But there's really nowhere I can put them right now where I wouldn't just have to move them again in a day. And moving them right now equals having to move a big roll of hay. So I'd like to minimize that. They are, they're the best though, guys. I love these sheep. I love everything about it. I talked to Marcy yesterday. We're going to get a farrier lined up to come in and look at Primrose's hooves. They're getting a little long. When we got her, they weren't in real good shape. She had a split, and we did not want to do any work on her hooves and risk that split going up higher. So I don't know a ton, hardly anything at all, really, about hoof care, but I'm starting to kind of pick up some things. But she has that split has grown out, kind of just like if you've ever lost a nail, which I did a while ago, and it took months to come back. It's kind of the same thing. He's got to let it grow out. And but now they're getting a little bit chipped looking at the base. So they just need to be cleaned up. And so we got to get with somebody when I'm going to be out here, make sure Primrose is chill. I think she'll probably be okay. And I imagine I'll probably be kind of holding her on the halter while somebody addresses her hooves. So I'm going to talk to her about it and let her know that it's a good thing and to, not be a jackass. Otherwise, this week I have pretty much, I had some jobs off site, and the spare time really has been seed starting extravaganza. My little greenhouse that I converted has been working out great. All of the flowers that we got started, all the seeds, I should say, that we got started for my friend Aaron's wedding, everything is germinated. And now we're, of course, at the race to keep things at appropriate moisture levels. With, we've had some days that were in the 70s, so it was too hot in there, so I was opening the door. We're going to have a couple nights in the 30s again, so, playing that game. But I just went ahead and I had so many extra seeds anyhow. I just started a ton of peppers, a bunch of anything that vines. I just poke seeds in. I just do a full tray per seed packet, and then just tuck the packet in with the tray, and that's just my way of saying, okay, these are cucumbers. And I've filled up pretty much every available space in that greenhouse. Because I'm starting stuff. I'm starting some stuff for my brother. I'm starting some stuff for a couple of customers. So I'm trying to kind of go a little hog wild there and figure that we'll find a place to put it somewhere. And if not, there's always marketplace for making a couple of bucks on extra plant starts. Let's see what else have we got going on. Oh yeah, I broad forked a small bed today, so I've got this little area kind of adjacent to the garden that had chickens for a little bit, and they stayed too long, and I lost some soil, and I was aggravated about that. But I've been able to build the soil again, so I've been kind of amending it and just keeping it covered. And then today I got in there at the broad fork and kind of worked a couple of spots open, and I'm trying a little experiment called Milpa gardening, MILPA. And I honestly cannot remember if that's a real word or an acronym or what, but I heard about it on the Thriving the Future podcast. And that's basically where you just throw a whole lot of various kinds of seeds, root stuff, above ground stuff, stalking stuff, vining stuff, greens, you name it. You just kind of throw a bunch of stuff into one spot and you let it do its thing. Some people kind of do it a little bit like a wildlife food plot, which is kind of my idea. I would love to just kind of have a bunch of things just kind of ramble around and then have extra treats to give to the sheep. So I'm going to see how that goes. This particular seed mix had, it's this. There are 2 or 3 different kinds of pumpkins in here. Yes, they'll probably cross-pollinate. And I should say, a bunch of this seed is old. So this is stuff that I didn't get rotated back in or stuff I lost track of. So I'm also seeding heavier because of the age and probably the germination is not so great. Sunflower, pumpkins, various kinds of brassicas. There is loofah gourd in here. That looks like a lot of radish seed. And then a lot of this, what is really taking up the bulk here is I had a little bit of leftover chick starter mix And I figure that is probably really good thing to feed into the soil. I don't have any chicks coming in right now, so I figured let's just use that up. It's kind of like a mineralization soil amendment thing. So I broadcasted a little bit of that, and I'm gonna see how it goes. The rabbits could wear it out before it hardly gets sprouted. We'll see, but I'm interested to see how that goes. And then, oh yeah, the other thing that I've started working on more vigorously this week is a design job for an urban home close to my old neighborhood. So the folks that live there, it's like a co-housing thing. I'm not coming up with the right word here, but it's they are working to make it kind of a micro intentional community, and they wanted a community garden as part of that. And only the front yard can be worked. The back is entirely paved and has a large barn building on it. So this is kind of like your very typical urban lot, about 50 feet by 100 feet in the front. But I'm actually going to draw this out and make a little diagram of some raised beds with planting suggestions and layout, and then a couple of super small fruit tree guilds, and just kind of a micro food forest, and then kind of work in along the edges a lot of low maintenance perennials like sunchokes and that sort of thing. So I was out there on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, and took a bunch of photos and took all my measurements. And now it's a matter of sitting down with my plant list and the graph paper and kind of drawing this out, which actually is my least favorite thing to do. And I normally don't even do it for people, but I thought this would be kind of a cool, the person who's the homeowner here and is putting it at the community is kind of also a member of the permaculture guilds and whatnot. So I was really kind of into the idea of collaborating on that and then maybe even using that design as sort of like a template that people in a similar size lot could use. Wilder Life says that's not much smaller than what I am now. Yeah, I mean that was my urban place. The entire lot was 50 by 100. So actually, this front yard is actually 50 by 50, and then there's kind of two strips along the side. So we've got like an eastern side cooler microclimate, and then a little western side warmer microclimate. And the east side is going to be wetter too because of the way the drainage is. So I'm going to kind of play with that as well. But I mean, y'all, I did a ton of stuff in that little city lot. I did so much stuff, and my only regret now is that I didn't dig up more of it and take it with me, because I made the mistake of driving by not so long ago and it's almost all grass again. And that is a damn shame. Yeah, the house was little. I mean, the house is like 950 square feet. So there's still more I'm sure I could have done. I was starting to think about rooftop stuff at that point on top of the shed. I was starting to think about more vertical space, but then it became obvious to me that it was time to get the heck out of the city. So we'll just take all those ideas and scale them up here. And I still love designing little spots. That really is the most fun, because it kind of forces you to get creative. And the nice thing is it's pretty difficult to get in over your head in terms of like your cost to get stuff installed is less. You have a lot of opportunity in the city to grab all kinds of waste materials or all kinds of easy to access waste streams versus being out in rural areas sometimes. And there's your chore routine is so much shorter. I do spend so much more time out here, even though I've still only about an acre. I still spend way more time walking around out here. So that's urban and suburban is a lot of fun to do. Margot says, for multiple reasons, most of everything I have planted is in the pots, and they'll come with me to the next place whenever we find it. And that's great. looking back on it, I mean, I did transport my compost to the farm. I did. I had 3 barrels that were full and very heavy, and it had been raining, so they were very, very heavy. And the day I was moving them, it was October, and it was raining so hard, and the backyard was flooding again. And I was so aggravated, and I was like, I'm so glad to be moving out here, because that was one of the biggest issues we had, was that house and that lot were in a bowl. And while I did things that made the water situation better, there were still a lot of things that I simply could not change, like how much water came down into my yard. And I was in muck boots, trudging through the backyard, loading up my compost on onto a hand cart and wheeling it onto my trailer. And I actually, one of them too. So I just used like the pickle barrels, and the one that it was actively being added to, I didn't have the lid on it, and I when I tipped it to get it, get it up on the hand cart, a possum ran out. So people are always like, "What do I do to keep animals out of my compost?" And I'm like, "Well, animals are going to get into your compost. It's just what they do. I mean, they're not really going to cause you any issues." I think he was napping because it was in the middle of the day, so I kind of woke him up, pissed him off. But yeah, I did. I transported my compost. I dug a lot of my herbs, not all of them, but I dug enough to transplant. But at that point, we were so busy. Looking back, like trying to see how I pulled that off, I don't know. Because between moving and getting things lined up for the shed and the cabin, and I had like 30 yard clients at that point, so I was still mowing yards. It was hot, so it was still mowing season. Yeah, that was a crazy summer. That was a really crazy summer. In a lot of ways, I think I am less busy now, which I'm happy with, because I just kept adding so many customers then. I was mostly mowing and doing landscaping then, but everybody was in the neighborhood. Nobody was more than 2 miles away from the house. So I was like, yeah, I'll add another person, because it's just, it's only, half hour of mowing and, 5 minutes from home. But it was, I sat down at the end of that year and wrote out a complete client list and surprised myself with how many that I had. So me and that little push mower got a lot of work done that summer. And then after that summer, I did one more summer, the summer of 21. I did pretty much the same number of customers, and then I immediately started scaling it back. Yeah, it was a little bonkers. Hippocrates says, yeah, moved. Yeah, I was taking the compost. Yeah, taking the compost for sure. I worked hard to make that stuff. And we took the super heavy duty wood rack. We had to put it in the moving car, or in the moving truck, and it took 6 of us to get it into the moving truck. But Angel built this mega heavy duty lumber rack for the woodworking stuff, and she was like, I'm not leaving that behind. So yeah, that thing got loaded up. I mean, we ditched a lot of stuff, especially going from 950 square feet with an attic to basically 440 at the time. We had 440 square feet to store our stuff in the shed for that winter time until the cabin arrived in the spring. And yeah, we got rid of a lot of stuff, got rid of a lot of clothes. The only thing that didn't take a hit was the library. I was going to draw the line at the library because I love my library. But yeah, just a lot of, it was one of those things where I was like, if I haven't used this in a year, do I really need it? So we offloaded quite a bit of stuff. And since then have been adding back to it, because that is kind of the nature of having a business and having a couple of extra hobbies since then. But it's, I kind of have this system to where if something hasn't served me in a while and it's not a tool, it goes away. It gets donated or sold or whatever. And I tend to find balance that way. And we have hard restrictions. We're not adding any extra space anytime soon. I like my spaces to be relatively organized and neat. So it's that's kind of my that's my way of striking balance and not being distracted by I can't do clutter. Clutter is emotionally exhausting for me, whether it's in my space or somebody else's space. I think I missed a comment back here. Hippocrates said had to edit and upload a recorded Zoom call with someone from Ward Labs about the soil test from the Master Garden. Okay, cool. I was hearing today, who was the one talking about this? But Logan Labs is another place that you can get. I think, oh yeah, Nick Ferguson. Nick Ferguson was talking about using Logan Labs for soil testing. So good to know for those of you who do that. I'll do it if it's requested, or I'll just suggest to the customers they can send it here. You can send it off to UT Extension, depending on what you want to know. And I can do. I mean, I've got a simple test kit here. I can do the very basics. But a lot of the times around here, it's a lot of times it's the same results unless we're talking about getting down into like river bottom areas or something like that. But if you're in East Tennessee and you're up on a hill, I pretty much have an idea of what your soil looks like, or I should say lack thereof. And only unless if we're trying to do something that's going to be real intensive and specific, like in terms of a certain cultivar, but I don't usually I design for things that I know do well. I don't see the point in trying to fight with what naturally occurs around here. So I'm just kind of always leaning back into amending organic materials into the soil. Can't go wrong by doing that. We always need to return nutrients. Cool. I don't know. Rewilder said she interviewed Nigel Palmer today, and he suggests Logan Labs. All right, that's good to know too. I just need to probably add that onto my. I keep a list of various useful suppliers and companies for all sorts of things when it comes to recommending to people. So that's good to know. And yeah, for those who in the chat or listening later who don't know, Rewilder Life is one half of the Modern Homesteading podcast with Harold Thornborough, which was one of my first podcast that I found when I got into this stuff ages ago. Was listening to Harold and TSB Survival Podcast. So they're still doing it and doing a great job. I was actually listening to your all's I'm always behind, but the Survival Garden show. That was really good. I was doing it while listening to it while doing seeds, which was kind of fitting. One last thing. I forgot to write it down, but I've got them sitting here in front of me. Books. All right. In the description for this, you will find the link to where you can order these books. These come from the USDA, and they have been produced using your tax dollars, which means you should obtain these books. They are free. I should say you've already paid for them. Water break. So I just got a couple, but I'm probably going to order some more since I'm pretty happy with the content and everything. So book one, this is probably not going to show up worth a darn. A nursery guide for the production of bare root hardwood seedlings. If you're in the Telegram group, a bunch of people already got theirs. Andy Eddings actually found out about these, and then we got the word shared around. And then I can't read it. Raising native plants in nurseries, the basic concepts. These are really, really good. Lots of good photos, lots of good, straightforward information, charts, diagrams. I'm a visual person. I need this kind of stuff. These are really great. I have kept in mind as part of my retirement plan that I may want to do a native and food forest nursery out here. I'm already propagating stuff as much as I can, but eventually I may go official with it and jump through those particular hoops. So I'm going to probably get more books from that and just kind of have that, be working on that in the background. because it turns out that I actually really like propagation work. You know, I love puttering in the soil. I like putting together, you know, you've got like your air pruning beds and your layering beds and things like that. And I certainly have the space. That is a nice thing. That is a very nice thing about this now is I've got plenty of space, plenty of sun, and halfway decent you know, in terms of getting a hold of materials and that sort of thing, can do so relatively inexpensively. So that was a bunch of us in the group grabbed those. So I would consider that redeem some of your money that the feds took away. One other cool thing that happened this week, I got permission to pick up waste materials from our local landscape supply store. So we've got a SiteOne landscape place just down the road from us, and I mean they know me over there. You know, I do business with them. I buy trees. I buy a lot of mulch from them. Uh, so I didn't do this out of the blue, but I got a hold of one of their materials managers and asked him if I could come by when it was not busy from time to time and pick up the pine straw and the wheat straw from the waste pile. So when they have to clean out these the trailers that hold all that stuff, they just push it all out and it just goes into a pile off to the side. So it's all mixed up. But the one thing that I can never get enough of around here, if I'm going to keep making really good soil, is you know, carbon. Carbon. I mean, I've got manure coming in now, and then carbon. I want all of it. I've got a pretty good system coming in with leaves and wood chips, keeping in mind that that could always change. So I kind of wanted something I had a little more control over. So I talked to the fella over there, and he said, "You're all good. Go for it. If anybody says anything to you, just tell them Will said it was cool." And I thanked him profusely. So that'll be something. I mean, I'll have to load it up manually. I guess there's always a chance that if I catch one of the equipment operators down there not being, you know, covered up with stuff to do, that maybe they could dump a couple of buckets onto the trailer. But it's a small trailer and I can't carry that much anyhow. So it's probably just going to be a matter of me and a pitchfork from time to time, just throwing that stuff onto the trailer. And I will have yet another source of carbon. So that was, in my world, that was exciting, and I was pretty stoked about that. Hey, Pinky, thank you for coming by. Pinky's got birds hatching out left and right. That's pretty cool. And Hippocrates is going to buy a new microscope. And see, I love you guys who are soil nerds about this kind of stuff. Matt Powers does have a really good course. I've watched some of his stuff. I'm glad that there are people who like to take the time to do that kind of study, because I don't. I like the idea of getting a microscope realistically, and I'm getting much better about this in terms of knowing what is likely for me to do. It's not likely that I'm actually going to sit down and do that kind of thing. So I'm very glad that people do. They put soil under the microscope and they get in there and they nerd out and they tell us what kind of organisms they're finding. I love to listen to podcasts and watch YouTube videos about that stuff, file it away, and then get back to work. So thank you for taking the time. Your service is appreciated. And he also put up another resource here. North Carolina's Master Gardener book, and is now accepted for Arkansas, is online for free, like something you can read for free online. That's awesome. And Rewilder says that Nigel blew her mind. So that's like I said, I'm glad we've got geeks and nerds and professor types who are into that, because it's not my strength, but I certainly benefit from it. So it all works out. Guys, I think that is pretty much what I had on the agenda. It's been an hour exactly. So how about that? It's raining. it just rolled in, and I'm a little tired. I got a lot done today. I was in the sun and the wind, so I'm gonna wind it up. And I'm gonna leave you guys with all the carbon. You got that right. All the carbon. Get a hold of the carbon. Get it back into the soil. That's what that's what improves things around here. Your plants and your animals will thank you. Your future humans and future plants and animals will thank you. And I will talk to you guys next time. Have a good night.